Twin Bill, where you can get your fill of hosts Jason and Marcus talking about movies and stuff. You know you never can get enough. A twin is two people who are related. Twin Bill. This season is Razzie Mania. Hello, and welcome to Twin Bill, the podcast where we drown in lagoons of cinema majesty and also bad movies. I'm with my sorry, anyway, cover your flugelhorn. With my co-host, twin brother, Marcus Luna. How are you doing this fine evening, Marcus? Of recording.
My throat's been bothering me, but I'm powering through it. Doing well otherwise.
Yep.
How are you?
Sorry. I was gonna say I'm doing fine. Yes. Okay. Before we get in, I use the drowning metaphor. Whatever. Before we get into the mess of the lagoon, did you watch anything this week that worth noting?
No, I've been, especially with the throat thing I mentioned, I focus on resting. So not really, just some sports. How about you?
Yeah, it's kind of in between times for movies for me. But I did finish the Malcolm in the Middle TV reunion. I know you haven't seen it, and I don't want to spoil it or anything. It's okay, and if anything, it just highlights how amazing Bryan Cranston is compared to everyone else in the world. It's like he hasn't done the character in X number of years, and then they're just like, do that, and he's like, okay, and it's just incredible. Well, yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk about the Blue Lagoon. This movie has a surprisingly, in parts, strong pedigree. Uh, for example, the director Randall Kleiser. You watch this movie, and you're like, who's Randall Kleiser? And he directed freaking Grease, which is not a cinema verite masterpiece, but it's at least successful.
At least a fun movie, and there's a lot of fun missing from this movie.
Yeah. Uh, you kind of had a spotty track record aside from Grease because Blue Lagoon in 1980, which is, probably successful, but not critically well reviewed. And then freaking Flight of the Navigator in 1986, arguably one of the least successful and least artistic Disney movies ever released. I mean, York has some ambition, I guess, but whatever. And then he did White Fang in 1991. So Randall Kleiser's move is to direct movies with teenagers in them that are weird,
And Big Top Pee-wee.
which is also weird for Pee Wee Herman based reasons, but that was a little better than most of his career. Uh, yeah, and then okay, the movie was written by Douglas Day Stewart, which seems like a typo. What name's Day? I think of a Doris Day, but whatever. Uh, after the Blue Lagoon, his screenwriting career launched with the Academy Award winning not screenplay, but the movie, An Officer and a Gentleman in 1982. Very impressive. And then his career kind of cratered in 1995 because he wrote the critically reviled Roland Jaffe adaptation of The Scarlet Letter, which changed the ending of the book.
It's always a good idea of change endings of famous books.
A movie we will discuss if we ever get to 1995 in Razzie Mania. And random movie, he wrote a movie in the late 80s, sorry, yeah, called Listen to Me, in which Roy Scheider coaches the debate team, which was directed by Douglas Day Stewart. A little double duty from Double D.
Kirk Cameron's one of the kids. My God,
And Jamie Gertz, who's like a secret billionaire now. Not secret, but just weird.
married into it. I guess it's kind of secret.
She doesn't talk. Oh, she doesn't do publicity or anything. So yeah, she doesn't talk about. Most billionaires on a press conference is saying, "I'm rich now, bitch." drop the mic and walk away. All right. I want to briefly mention that Blue Lagoon is a literary adaptation, not quite the level of good old Nathaniel Hawthorne, but it is based on a 1908 novel by old stuffy white guy slash actual explorer slash world traveler Henry de Vere Stackpool. Because we all know Stackpool in our lives. All right. So this is time to mention briefly that Blue Lagoon was adapted into a 1949 movie that I don't think anyone's ever heard of, starring Gene Simmons. Only 20 years before Kiss started. It's crazy. Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all night, literally. He also wrote a book called The Truth About Spring, which turned into a 60s movie about a Caribbean sailor who takes his adopted daughter, on an adventure. And Haley Mills played the daughter. That movie sounds way better than this one, honestly. Yeah. Uh, Blue Lagoon was produced by Randall Kleiser as well as directed. He did not have a major career as a producer, but he did direct the sequel to this movie, Return to the Blue Lagoon, which you might talk about, you might not, but yeah, which he also directed. But yes. And the music in this movie is insane. Not because the music in this movie is insane. It's not. It's fine. I will say my brief review of the music in this movie is that it's okay for a movie of this kind. They just play it way too loudly on the mix. It's just like it's just aggravating. But yeah, it's like they need a transition, so they go like.
Not the worst score I've had, but I can't remember it, so it wasn't particularly memorable.
It was one of those. A lot of. I mean, it's so hard. I'm so bad at describing music. It sounds like classical music, but it's not. That's kind of what it sounds like. Very orchestral score. Anyway, the crazy thing is the music's done by this guy, Basil, or like maybe Basil Polidouris. Do you have any idea what iconic song he wrote 7 years later? Well, song slash movie theme.
Again, I look at people when you're talking about them. So was it
Just
the
say it then.
RoboCop theme?
I checked if someone else wrote that part, but no, he wrote the whole thing. It's all him. So he was just warming up in this movie. He's like, let me get warmed up.
I mean, composers are really guns for hire. They can do any type of movie. And it just there's a lot of variance from movie to movie.
But RoboCop was much better in this movie musically. He also did the score for Conan the Barbarian and the score for The Hunt for Red October. So Basil's the one looking the best out of everyone in this movie, probably. Just saying. Uh, let's get into the cast. Now see where the movie gets awkward. We have Brooke Shields as Emmeline Lestrange. Very fun last name for a character because she's strange.
Goes by M, I think.
Yes, I'll refer to as M most of the time in this review or show, whatever. A little girl who gets stranded on an island and grows up to fuck her cousin. We'll come back to that in a second. Uh, so it's crazy that 14-year-old at the time of this movie, Brooke Shields, uh, was super over sexualized in her whole career, but especially around this time. I made a list. So in 1978, she was in a movie called Pretty Baby, where she literally plays a prostitute. Nice. And then,
Jodie Foster-esque.
yes. And then 1979, she was in a movie called Wanda, Nevada, where the picture I saw, she had a fancy dress and makeup, and she gets won in a poker game that Peter Fonda plays and goes on adventures. Not as gross, but still uncomfortable how they treat her like she's older than she is. This movie, something I will probably repeat multiple times. She's 14 years old. The movie simulates that they're showing her fully nude. It's a body double, but it's still simulated. And she participates in simulated sex as a 14-year-old. This movie's gross. Okay. And then also not as bad, but in 1981, she was in Endless Love, in which her relationship with her boyfriend was portrayed as adult in style. It's not bad, but it is weird. but it's not as bad. I should say adult in style. It's just way more serious than a teenage romance should be. But yeah. And then I just wrote a note. I'm glad Brooke Shields survived her teenage years because Jesus Christ, but very traumatic. And then we have Christopher Atkins as Richard Lestrange, a little boy who gets stranded on an island and grows up to fuck his cousin. Did you know they were cousins? I only realized it
I thought that
afterward.
was because I joked with you when I was watching part of it with you that this was the birth of step sibling porn on Pornhub. I thought they were stepbrother and stepsister
No,
because it appeared that
you know,
uh, what's this William Daniels, aka the car and Kit, and
basically the dad of both of them, even though it's technically only one of them. But yeah, yeah.
so I thought they were stepbrother and stepsister. I didn't even realize or see that they were cousins until you just told me. So
Yep, makes this movie technically legal but horrible. Also, yes. Uh, yeah. So I wrote here about Christopher Atkins. He's definitely the Marty Jannetty for wrestling fans out there, or Art Garfunkel of the Blue Lagoon cast, because he never really had a successful role in a movie ever again. The list is pretty silly. So in 1982, he was in a heavily Razzie nominated movie called, great title, The Pirate Movie. It's like the worst title of a movie ever. And then And then in 1983, he was in a movie called A Night in Heaven about a female high school teacher who falls in love with her student who moonlights as a male stripper. And guess who played
God,
the male stripper? It's Christopher Atkins. The movie was directed by John G. Avildsen, which makes it slightly better, but also incredibly sad. By the way, John G. Avildsen, director of The Formula. Find it in our archives. Also sucked. And then, oh yeah, this is crazy. So his fourth biggest credit IMDb was a small part in a historical crime drama. I have to be fair. It was created and directed by Chinese Americans, but the movie's called Chinaman's Chance: America's Other Slaves. Like it's a historical drama, but why would you put Chinaman in the title of your movie? Yeah, yeah, that's the. I think Christopher Atkins is the highlight for me of the research of this episode. Okay, next up we have Leo McKern as Patty Button. That's not a real name. The cook and crew member of the boat that gets shipwrecked. A makeshift father for 2 seconds of the shipwrecked kids on Blue Lagoon Island. Did you know that Leo McKern was Australian, but his voice passed for British? Fun fact.
no, yeah, like yeah, I guess that is a British accent. Just focus on the fact he's the stereotypical curmudgeon.
Yes. Very odd character to play a softened daddy figure because it doesn't really have that in his range. But yeah.
Really, he's probably does the best acting job in the movie because he doesn't want to watch the kids, but he actually tries to watch the kids. His own demons kind of are his undoing, but he's
Yeah,
kind of
that's true.
he's more complex as a character than the main characters.
Yeah, that's a pretty low bar, but yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, he's the best of a very small list. Uh he got his glass eye before he started acting. He was like 14 years old or something. He got in a fight or something and lost an eye. And
Oh,
did you ever watch the Zinnemann Man for All Seasons adaptation?
I actually read the play, but I've never watched the full movie before.
Because despite Leo McKern having that one face for his entire career, pretty much, he played Thomas freaking Cromwell in that movie. And side note for genre fans, he had a role in 1985's weird Richard Donner movie about a bird and uh, Ferris Bueller trying to save a whatever. It's called Lady Hawk. I'll have to watch it at some point. Seems cool. I like Richard Donner, obviously. And then we have William Daniels, aka Mr. Feeney. Just call him William Feeney from Boy Meets World, as Arthur Lestrange, the father of one of the kids, uncle to the other, and apparently a big fan of boats, who's really bad in boat emergencies. I mean, he doesn't, the boat's about to sink or blow up or something, and he just doesn't get the kids. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, he's like, okay, kids, you have to go on the other boat. I have to go on this other boat. Right? When you want to go on the boat with your daughter on it.
Yeah, that was sloppy.
Wait, no. I think no, it's Willie Daniels is the father of the boy.
To be fair, the movie did not care that much as much about the details you did, but yeah. Uh, so you probably know these things, but William Daniels played Benjamin Braddock's dad in The Graduate 13 years before this movie came out.
Yeah.
2 years 2 years after this movie, St. Elsewhere came out, and then Boy Meets World was 13 years later. And I think most people know William Daniels today, if you know him at all, aside from the Boy Meets World thing, because he's still alive, knock on wood, at 99 years old, and he's been married to Bonnie Bartlett. Shout out to Bonnie Bartlett. She's still fine. For over 75 years now, so longevity. All right, let's go in the movie a little deeper. I actually liked the title of the movie because it's unique with the Blue Lagoon, and it fits the fact that there's going to be an island romance, no matter how terrible and poorly conceived it is.
So is the Blue Lagoon though where Brooke Shields has her period and that body of water?
I'm gonna guess, based on the preview and other things, that the Blue Lagoon is the body of water next to where the God Rock is.
Yeah, I guess the God Rock ends up being the most consequential location of that stupid island.
Yeah, it's also, yeah. I don't know. It is consequential, but it's also sloppily handled. There's no progress. They don't directly interact with the islanders aside from being scared of them once or whatever. But whatever. Yeah. Yeah. The actual poster of the picture is nice. Good photography. This text behind me, it's just brutal. And there's a longer version with the half sheet. I don't count half sheets because that's not for public consumption. But the director of Grease, Rich Randall Kleiser, brings you a sensual and super and whatever it says, something great love. Two children shipwrecked on an
Natural
island.
love.
Nature is kind. It's so long. It's like so stupid. Star Wars needs a crawl. Blue Lagoon does not need a crawl. Get out of here. So there's two taglines. One is a story of natural love, and then this one's kind of silly. Innocence. Dot dot dot. The most dangerous adventure of all. Adventure is just weird. Why don't you say love? But
I guess you say natural love because they're related. I don't know.
because it happens in nature, and or they do. I think the reason. I mean, it fits because it's like they do it without book learning. They come across it naturally, which in I don't know, as an intelligent moviegoer, it just feels more contrived than natural. But it's just gross because part of it is that innocence is that because they're young, but then again, Brooke Shields is 14. And
Well, they're younger than that when they shipwreck.
oh, that too. I forgot to mention my other. Well, I will mention it later, but that they show the girl version of M, the young actress, without her shirt on, which I understand is a little more tolerable with babies, but I don't think it's good for a movie. I think it invites the wrong kind of attention. This is my curmudgeonly opinion, but yeah,
Yeah.
this movie, if you, I don't know, it's kind of coded for P PDO files.
PD. Oh, pedophiles.
Yes,
Using such coded language, I don't even know what you're talking about.
whatever. I wasn't quoting. Oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah, just yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Let's move on. Um, I like the editing. Do you watch the trailer I sent you?
Can't remember.
Well, visually it was generic, but it was kind of nice. It had like a lot of the long shots of the island and the cinematography. In general, the cinematography of the movie is actually fairly good to complement the good.
Yes, you didn't bring him up, but Nestor Almendros Cuyas was a Spanish cinematographer, is very prolific. Uh,
Yeah, I only bring up the top of the line famous quote unquote famous roles in a movie, but yes, cinematography is very good, and so they that makes the trailer look good. But the voiceover was terrible. More stuff about like they were so young, but they needed to learn so much about love, and it's just like more allusions to how creepy this whole thing is. Just this movie. All right, okay, time for a trivia break. Okay, this is very direct. All the questions are about blue things. First question: 1994's Blue Chips, the college basketball drama starring Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway trying to act, was directed by what famous director?
hmm. Sidney Lumet
The director of The Exorcist and The French Connection, William Friedkin.
was all over the place with his filmography.
Yep, bit of a director for hire at certain stages of his career. First or last name acceptable. What is the name of the shocking in a David Lynch movie? Weird villain in Blue Velvet.
Would help if I've seen that movie, but whatever.
Oh, sorry.
Rusty.
It's not a spoiler, but anyway. Yeah, his name's Frank Booth. Moving on. You should you should see that movie. There you go. Hot takes.
Every time you told me, if I had a nickel every time you told me I should see that movie, I could own my own movie theater at this point.
If I had nickels to spare, I'm a podcast director. Don't pay the bills. Sorry. Moving on. Let's talk about the characters. Kind of weird to talk about this movie because it's all about the characters, but you know, teenagers in love. I will give the movie credit. It did kind of accurately depict what dumb teenagers talking to each other would be like. Uh, but especially Christopher Atkins, it was very annoying to watch. And my little sympathy for her because she went through some physical trauma in the movie and felt sad for her in general, but both pretty bad characters. Hmm.
Uh, this, yeah, pretty bad. Yeah, like a lot of movies from this era, the guy's more of a dick than the girl's a bitch. And yeah,
Yeah, I agree. The dialogue uh was kind of frustrating because they were angling for a sort of naturalistic teen banter about living on an island, but just came off very whiny and very dumb. Felt like as an adult, I was way ahead of where the dialogue was going.
somehow
Yeah,
somehow you're understanding how bad it was. It's just, it's almost too realistic, maybe work even less entertaining than watching actual kids bantering with each other. Um,
I wanted to briefly mention the weirdest thing about the dialogue to me is that it's very facile dialogue that's easy to understand. So I feel like kids and teenagers would like this movie more, but then you have the moments of violence and especially the graphic nudity and sex that makes it a lot more of an adult film. But adults are not going to want to hang around for the talking.
that's what I thought too, that this was a Disney movie. I know it wasn't a Disney movie because I saw the Columbia logo when I turned on the film, but um, it just felt, I've never seen the Swiss Family Robinson, but kind of felt light and theme like that, like, oh, we're on an island, I'm cooking dinner. It's no drama or comedy. It's just like watching people on an island, like a Swiss Family Robinson style thing. But then, like you said, then jarring. Brooke Shields has her period, and uh, what's his face masturbates, and then
Yeah, and then she gets really sick in a weird way, and then they have sex and they have a baby. That's pretty much it. Yeah, yeah,
steps on a stonefish, apparently.
yeah. So let's talk about a bit about the structure. So the opening image of the movie, they open with those very much like the opening of Cheers, those black and white pictures of turn of the century, I guess England. They didn't really say what they were, but it's like old,
They're actually paintings, but yeah.
yeah. And then the Northumberland is the name of the boat. They show it like breaking the water.
There's been a few movies we've watched. I actually thought the movie they did a lot better, and it was still not for Razzie, but Raising Up the Titanic had a montage at the beginning of people having fun on the old photos of people having fun on the Titanic. It was actually I thought it was really sweet, um, and well done.
Yeah,
And whoever did the artwork for that, it was like this whole movie lame and uninspiring. I don't know. I didn't pick good art.
yeah. It felt very like public domain. I'm sure it wasn't, but that's what it felt like. Just like whatever we have, put it up there. So the protagonist of the movie, this is the movie with, as OSW review would say, two protagonists, aka zero protagonists. But it's basically all Richard and M playing off each other. The whole.
Yeah, if you had to pick one, I guess you'd say Richard, since he's the more resourceful of the two, and he if
Hmm.
this movie was Oscar worthy, which obviously is not, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. But if Christopher Christopher Atkins had the scene that was most like would be in the best actor reel when he's crying, and I've seen it so often in movies, but someone's sick and dying and they're saying, please don't die, please don't die.
His dialogue in that scene was so bad too. It's like, I forgot most of my prayers, but dear God, please, please do something for him. It's like,
So he
I,
just gets the prayer wrong, but it's not as funny as it could if they're going for comedy. And
it was close to comedy though. But I will say though, in my opinion, sorry to interrupt, but the if I picked a protagonist, I would actually pick M, because she has the most personal growth to have, and she's the one who has the period blood. I was just more interested in her story than his, but yeah, just it's debatable. Both are fine.
there's that little bias of Brooke Shields has been in things you liked, and you've never seen Christopher Atkins in anything before.
Yes. Is that a rule? If you like an actor better, you can pick them as the protagonist, but that should be. But yeah. I think you're right. I do agree. I would just empathize with a woman in that situation more than a man, because I already know that women have it rough, and then you're having sex with your cousin. It's just, ugh. Yeah.
Well, the biggest heel turn in the movie is arguably Brooke Shields when she doesn't like the torch to notify the boat because she's like, "This is our home now. We have to accept it." And
Yeah, she's on drugs during that scene. She's like, I know.
I'm gonna blame him if he killed her right there. I don't know.
Jeez. So, the structure starts off a little wobbly because it's like, what's the ordinary world for the characters? It's really not clear. So I assume William Daniels has some money if he's doing boats, but I know they were going to San Francisco. Was it just to move to America?
That's what I thought.
Very vague. And then yeah, that's right. Yeah, they were going somewhere and they got cut off and went to the Blue Lagoon. So there's the ordinary world is cut in half. Both.
It literally felt like 3 seconds of them going to America and then their boat sank.
There
They had
wasn't,
not
because yeah,
they wanted to get to the Blue Lagoon as quickly as possible.
yeah, they were too little to have dialogue or anything. So I mean, or they had like lines, but it wasn't dialogue. But yeah, anyway. Yeah, what is the this is a weird one too. What does the protagonist need to do to improve their life, get out of what they're in? Usually the audience sees it before the characters do. Um, so it the need is like survive on the island, I guess. But the movie's really weird with that because once Christopher Atkins is an adult, he just like shows up with fresh bananas and they're fine 90% of the time. It's very odd world building.
Yeah, it's obviously intentional that they don't want to focus on, oh, I'm so hungry. Are we ever going to find anything to eat?
Yeah.
They really want to focus on the relationship between Em and Richard as quickly as possible.
God bless you. But yeah, I feel like it ends up being they need to mature as adults and fall in love. But that just seems weird. You're stuck on an island. You don't need to have sex with your island mate.
But they're, what's a nice word for idiots? Because they haven't had a lot of schooling. They're young when they shipwreck, and
Yeah,
then they grow up with no parents except for Patty. But then Patty dies while still little kids. And he's not going to teach them anything that useful. Well, I mean, he gets to taught him how to.
he taught him to irrationally avoid. Well, I guess he Patty probably knew that there was evil, not evil, but you know what I mean, not diplomatic island dwellers or something. I guess that's the closest thing I think of. But anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, the movie, whether we want to or not, has this idea that a man and a woman need to fall in love and have babies. And that becomes the crux of the narrative of the movie. And as the viewer, some people are going to be like, that's stupid. Who needs a man to survive? But, you know, this movie's like, yeah, you kind of do. Yeah, just do it.
We made over 10 times his budget in America, so people, I think, were drawn to the
Yeah.
naked young people sex part of it.
It's kind of, and I, what's the word? Scientific level. It's kind of interesting what would happen if this happened. But uh, in practice, it's just, you know, it's this movie. Okay. Time for another quick trivia break. Hill Street Blues has a great theme song composed by what dude who also wrote the themes for Quantum Leap, Law and Order, and most of the TV shows through the 1990s.
He's a creator, I think, but I don't know anything better. Steven Bochco,
Mike Post, his name. Based on the ethnicity of its original author slash artist, what country are Smurfs from?
I think I have the area. They did from Denmark.
They are Belgian.
Oh,
So the structure is all weird because what's the movie event that changes their lives, sucks them into the story? That's usually like 15 minutes in or whatever. I guess it's just the boat crashing on the island.
you could argue it's when they morph into Christopher Atkins and Brooke Shields instead of the baby actors. Let's give credit to Elva Josephson, easy for me to say, and Glenn Cohan.
So I guess if to sort of tie the transition together, it's kind of like when M and Richard are self-sufficient or used to living on the island, what do you want to call it? That's when the movie kicks in, I guess. But, yeah, yeah.
It becomes a teenage sex drama.
Yep. I'm just a teenage sex drama. Shout out for all you.
What was that from?
It's not called Teenage Dirtbag. It's actually kind of catchy song, but
I don't know if the people who wrote Teenage Dirtbag know that song, the way you sing it.
it's actually pretty close. The song's good, but the chorus is a little atonal because he's like a little whiny. But anyway, moving on. Uh, fun and games of the poster. I guess it's the romantic courtship, although the movie sort of truncates that more towards like the middle slash end of the movie.
Yes, the poster screaming, I want to kiss you.
On the mouth. Yeah, it's just funny because yeah, with a romantic courtship, you expect that they go on a date and it doesn't go well. The movie doesn't do any of that. It's just sort of like they're living together and we know they're acting like a married couple, but they're denying it and like teasing each other. It's just so I don't know. What's the word? First level? I don't know. Entry level? Dumb? I don't know.
Yes, I believe Randall Kleiser and Douglas Day Stewart have no interest going beyond entry level.
So that yeah. The funny games is the kissy part, but you have to wait a little bit to get there. But yeah, okay, yeah. What comes and takes the protagonist's joy away from them? I guess it's the God Rock stuff.
I would say they have a really bad fight. It's a combination of the really bad fight and she steps on the stone fish. And so she gets badly infected and passes out and whatnot.
There's,
Um,
there's that like montage where Christopher Atkins won't talk to her anymore and like
right.
throw
Because
stuff at her and stuff. Yeah,
both very petty in their fight. She's like, "You masturbate, not to tell your dad," and then you're a whore and you walk around like this, and then she throws a coconut at his head or something
yeah,
and
nailed him in
connects.
the head. Yeah. Good shot though. That's another comedy moment because he takes a freaking pratfall and gets up and is mad. But a different movie, he would have gotten up and thrown two coconuts at her or something. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say passes out for a long time or something.
Or the yeah sees the Tweety birds. So yeah, the thing that allows okay, well, structurally, big problem with this movie for me is that there's a beginning and a middle and end to the romance that's like a happy ending, and then they throw in all this weird shit that must have been from the novel or something where well, spoiler alert, the end of the romance is they uh she gets sick, he takes her to the God Rock, he makes peace with the God Rock, she gets okay, they have sex, they have a baby. That's like the end of the movie. But then the movie's like, hey, all three of them, boy, girl, and baby, uh, they're stuck in the middle of the ocean, and then the baby eats the poisonous berries, and then they're like, hey, we should also eat poisonous berries. And then William Daniels shows up, and his first mate's like, oh, they're fine, and then the movie ends. That whole act in the Strand of the Ocean feels like a ending tacked onto an ending based on the structure of the movie.
Yeah, who knows what's in the book? But it could have been feedback from a producer at Columbia or something that hey, they need to. Are they gonna? The audience needs to know if they get off the island or not.
But what's with the berries then, if that's the case? Because that seems like a complication.
Uh, that might have been Douglas Day Stewart because his play. That might have been something he wanted to do something with that because they have a thing about the berries
Uh,
in the film, and Patty's teaching about tips to survival.
yeah. So we're talking about the ending ish of the movie.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. Okay. I think we covered it. It's the very exciting but sort of tacked on thing about getting off the island and then deciding to seemingly go into a suicide pact. I guess because they felt bad about the baby dying.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just one of the more painful ways to go is just literally just sit there waiting for hunger and or thirst to take you, or sun sickness, I guess. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that'd be what exposure slash severe sun damage or whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I assume they're protected the whole time they're on the island. They don't really have like they don't make sunscreen or something, but
No, they don't wear. They're not very good wearing layers of clothing. And their baby too. Their baby's basically naked. Everyone's naked in this movie, especially the baby. That's major exposure risk. Baby goes swimming underwater for crying out loud. But anyway, so yeah. So how are the protagonists' world in the beginning and the end of the movie? It's all over the place because they're child actors who don't have a lot of personality at the beginning, and then technically at the end they're in a coma or fine but sleeping. But then I guess the real beginning and end is they go from small children to quasi functioning adults slash parents. I think that's what the movie was going for is the real answer to that question. But
Yeah, but they didn't really establish that they were happy about going to America. But I mean, it's a stereotype that America's the land of opportunity, and then they make a suicide pact and go unconscious slash asleep. So you can
yeah,
view it as a positive or negative that they managed to, you can either say they managed to grow up or movie ends right after a suicide pact. But
yeah, it's a bit weird because they're getting rescued kind of negates the whole reason they became a couple in the first place, which is survive on the island. Now they probably shouldn't even be together anymore. But it's a whole. There was a sequel to this movie, but that's the real sequel. Is yeah, the logistics of all that crap they did on the island. So yeah, the closing image of the movie very artfully done. Uh, I didn't mention yet that William Daniels looks like Mark Twain slash Albert Einstein with that wig they gave him. What a terrible old man wig. It was poofy. But he's tending to the bodies slash sleeping children or whatever, and the camera like whips back up into the air. You can see the ocean, and then it sort of does like a cut the credits, boat scenery and stuff. Very impressive cinematography. But that's like the last image of the movie. Yep, pretty ocean. This is one of the rare movies in the Razzie list where the I thought the opening and the ending fit. I mean, it was a little tame, but it's like the boat sailing to the new world and then rescuing them on a boat when they were adrift. It's just like I don't know, something about the sea in different ways, beginning and ending. It was kind of appropriate. Not stellar, but fine.
yeah, it's like the lightest movie about getting deserted on an island.
Is it lightest?
Yeah, I don't know. The stakes don't feel as high as other movies.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, the food was stupid because where is he getting all these fresh yellow bananas from?
That's what I mean. They're never wanting of anything really. I mean, obviously they're away from society, but
Yeah. No. Yeah. I agree. It's
they
very
always
light.
have fish and fruit. Um, they don't have any ill effects except for the stonefish thing, really. Like they don't have skin sores or I don't know, worse for wear. Kind of thriving. They're on a beach holiday the whole time.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. Which is kind of goes into why the whole implied thing of they should escape from the island somehow. That's also, I mean, they seem happier on the island, honestly, but yeah. But anyway, another trade break. It's kind of an annoying question, but whatever. In the seminal ELO song "Mr. Blue Sky," what two different Misters are mentioned? We know one,
Mr. Blue Sky,
also referred to as Mr. Blue. But yes,
Mr. Green. I don't know.
along comes Mr. Knight. That's what he says. Uh, what experimental female singer-songwriter, the singer of Ocean Eyes, said in her 2024 song Blue, "You were born bluer than a butterfly, beautiful and so deprived of oxygen."
Bjork.
Billie Eilish.
experimental is a bit strong, but I don't want to dwell on that. Move on.
Like I said, DJ, or I don't know. I don't want to give away too much with whatever. Moving on. Structure overall rating. I actually thought this movie on a pure structural level was kind of fine for a romance movie. You kind of get the beats of like they don't think they're in a romance, and then they have a big fight, and then they come together, make a baby. It's all fine. The ending is poorly written or poorly directed, but with the whole boat and the berries. But the romance thing was okay. Uh, yeah, structurally it fits for me.
How can I give anything? I don't know. I can't feel like watch this movie and it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I think structure is part of the problem because it's just, I mean, stuff happens, so it's not literally just them hanging out. It's not Richard Linklater's version of Lost at Sea, but it doesn't really make a choice, kind of. It's hard to describe. Um, it's not a comedy, it's not a drama, so the structure is inconclusive, kind of.
It's a romantic. I would consider a romantic drama made for teenagers, just in terms of sensibility, not in terms of the sex imagery, but mhm, yeah, yeah.
Kind of just happens, doesn't build well.
No, they're going for an organic feel, which doesn't really work. But I'm just saying the generic beats are there of like how romance movies work. But whatever. Yeah, that's not a big compliment. Movie shit,
Pardon my
bad
French, but
acting.
it's like, oh, you almost died. I better fuck you.
That happens a lot in romantic movies. You realize how important someone is to you when you almost lose them. Part of it is both of us don't.
Zero is the structures movie bother me, so zero or one, whatever, it's terrible.
I mean, can't speak for you, I guess, but I'm not a big fan of these type of movies, so that definitely hurts a lot of the evaluation of it. But yeah.
Oh my God, it's the bottom of the barrel of this type of movie or any type of movie.
Okay, established. Uh, we did mostly talk about pacing, but it was kind of like you say. Well, they're going for naturalistic, where they don't like label things as movie scenes, but as a result, it's just clumsy. Like they just cut to Brooke Shields, for example, screaming in the period blood and stuff. It's very like loosey goosey. Moving on. The tone of the movie, not a judgment, just a label. Obviously, this is very island escapism. I had thoughts of like the Love Boat or something, just because of the beautiful scenery, cinematography. There's a lot about the otherness of the wilderness with the it's weird. In a way, the depiction of the island inhabitants, wild people, whatever you want to call it, is problematic. But in a way, they do it so little to the screen time, it actually becomes less problematic in a way. But yeah, that's part of the other though is like the Islanders, and yeah, the cinematography matches the whole naturalistic vibe. There's always a tree, leaf, or a mountain. Yeah,
Ended up being my favorite part of the movie. It didn't fit the plot, so it gets also problematic, but I enjoyed the random animal shots,
yeah, all
the
the
shots of wildlife.
yeah wildlife and foliage slash nature, good stuff. Talk about the originality of the concept. Uh, it is based on a 1908 novel with a allegedly. I mean, someone had heard of the 1949 movie, I'm sure. So, but weirdly, it's I think almost too original. Like cousins trapped on an island having sex seems more like a porno than a movie, and having teenagers carry a movie by themselves is interesting on paper and clumsy in execution. So it's kind of original. I wouldn't say most of the originality works out. None of it does, probably, but
This came out like 20 years after Lord of the Flies. It's not the same movie. Lord of the Flies is much more dramatic. Um, much better idea for a story in general by William Golding compared to Henry de Vextapool. He's not even French, I don't think, but um, I guess it's original how much it focuses on just two people on an island. But again, this is like because there's a silent version too. It's like the at least third film of the story.
Yeah, and if you count the Island of the Blue Dolphins novel, which is pretty close to this time, the 80s time frame, yeah, it's a lot of overlapping themes that are similar.
It's very young adulty in that way.
Yeah. I did. I was. I guess commend this movie, not really, but they didn't do the thing where they meet the Islanders and the Islanders, learn to like the white man. So I appreciate that. It wasn't a big part of the movie either way, but that would have been worse.
It's amazing how separate they managed because you think how polite the tribesmen are. They never go on that side of the island.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense why they didn't just kill them and sell their blood to the god or whatever.
Hey God, want to buy some blood?
Well, sell's not the word or whatever. I don't have energy for it. Sacrifice, whatever. Sacrifice.
Blood.
Uh,
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about marketability. In our words, how likely you tell a friend to watch this movie or whatever. Well, I don't know anyone who would watch a movie where I had to admit up front that there's a topless little girl and simulated sex for a 14-year-old. Not to mention cousins fucking when one of them is played by a 14-year-old actress. It's just a hot mess. And scene to scene, it's just sloppy. There's really, if you want good, like the one good thing we both agree on is the nature cinematography. Just watch what's his name? That director who did the Badlands.
Terrence Malick.
Yeah, he gets you good nature cinematography and like a liberal mindset and sophisticated storytelling. So don't watch this movie. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I agree. It's has no so bad it's good appeal. Just get really bored. Um,
Or grossed out if you're like me and you pick out the sexy stuff. But
you
yeah,
do try to have a setup of so bad it's good viewing. You giggle a little bit at Patty, but there's nothing really about. There's little bits I guess you could pick up, but then it's just you have to go through a lot of actual crap to get the any bits of so bad it's good. Eh,
yeah, I would make a reel of Christopher Atkins line readings, like all of them. That'd be pretty funny. But what do you mean you didn't like the torch? Pretty much his whole character. I hate you. I'm never gonna talk to you ever again. Yeah, Chris Reckons. Cinema. More trivia questions about blue things. The Bluest Eye is a novel by what author?
Toni Morrison.
Yeah, you got one. You got one. What's the first name of the author of the probably much better than the Blue Lagoon novel Island of the Blue Dolphins? His name is Blank Odell. His first name is the same as the sci-fi actor who was the original star of NCIS New Orleans.
Scott.
Scott Odell, yes. So let's get into the nominations. There's there's a lot to get into here, surprisingly. Okay, but Golden Globes. Okay, well, there's only really two options, but who do you think would be the craziest person to get nominated for a Golden Globe?
Because even I mean, deservedly so, but you've been shitting on him the whole time. Christopher Atkins.
Yep, he was nominated for Best New Male Star, and he was going up against really strong acting because William Hurt was nominated for Altered States, and the winner was Timothy Hutton for Ordinary People. So shockingly, Christopher Atkins does not really stand up to the test of time there. But yeah. All right, talk about the Oscars. Only one Oscar nomination. You may have saw it on your computer or you could guess already, but Nestor Almendros. Did you know? Speaking of what's his name? Just asked you for it. Ginger, director of Badlands.
Terrence Malick.
I'm really bad with names sometimes. Uh, his movie Days of Heaven. Nestor Almendros was a cinematographer on that, but he had to leave early, and Haskell Wexler finished the movie. So, bit trivia for you there. Well, because Terrence Malick always goes over time, so Almendros couldn't stay, extra time or whatever.
Oh, that's right. And James Craig for The Formula was nominated the same year.
Yes. Why? I mean, I know he was nominated because he shot like Europe and stuff, but that was really bad cinematography. But compared to him,
Oh my God, I never disagree with you anything more about there's actually very well shot scenes in that movie.
okay, fine. I should have said James Craig was fine, and I preferred Nestor Mendoza. That would have been a more polite way of putting it. But yeah, yeah. Nestor Mendoza also shot Sophie's Choice and Kramer versus Kramer, so he is too good for this shit. Literally. Uh, yeah. So you mentioned like James Craig, and then also Raging Bull cinematographer Michael Chapman was nominated but did not win. And the weirdest story to me is that the winner of the award was the Roman Polanski Thomas Hardy adaptation Tess, because it was shot by a guy named Jeffrey Unsworth until he had a heart attack and died in while the movie was being made. And Gislan Cloquet finished the cinematography and shared the Oscar.
Well, he's dead, but he might want to change his name because it's too much like Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, maybe he likes like that.
Well, he's dead, so I don't think he cares. But
Uh, this movie got only one Razzie nomination, but it was a win for Brooke Shields as worst actress, which is fair, but also seems unfair. She beat out, among others that we've seen, Nancy Allen, Dressed to Kill, Valerie Perrin in Can't Stop the Music, and Olivia Newton-John in Xanadu. Uh, I think Brooke Shields is the best winner just because it's the best story. Like she's kind of like awkward with the whole nudity thing, and then she was bad in it. I'm fine with the win. That's all I'm saying. But yeah,
yeah, the ones you said we haven't watched all of them yet. The ones you said, um, I'll still defend Valerie Perrin and oh, actually, no, that the supporting actress in Can't Stop the Music I actually liked, which was controversial, but um,
well, the thing about Valerie Perrin is she is a good actress. She was good in Superman. She's good in some artsy things I haven't seen yet. She's actually an actress, so it's hard for me to really support her winning awards for bad movies. But yeah,
yeah, Brooke Shields wasn't given a lot in terms of writing, but she also acted very poorly with the writing she was given.
I do think Nancy Allen's a good choice because of the line reading and Dress to Kill, but that was also not also director based a little bit. But yeah, yeah,
Farrah Fawcett doesn't do anything that great in Saturn 3.
yeah. But I thought she was competent, and again, I like her, so it's like kind of hard. It's just hard for me to separate. But yeah, yeah. Uh, the bad stinkers like went to town on this movie to an incredible degree. Uh, so yeah, it was an honorable mention for worst picture. They have like 30 honorable mentions. I hate this. That's the worst thing about the stinkers. But I guess I'll tell you because it's not going to come up that much. But Popeye won worst picture at the Bad Stinkers that year. Just bizarre.
Mess of a movie.
I mean, it's slightly better than a lot of things we watched, but Holtman doesn't do bad movies per se. I don't think just awkward movies. But yeah, uh, Christopher Atkins was nominated for worst actor. Good choice, but he lost to Steve Guttenberg in Can't Stop the Music. What do you think about that choice?
Gutenberg is very terrible and can't stop the music. Picking amongst turds, as Shakespeare said. He didn't say that. But I guess Atkins because he's so whiny, but Gutenberg is really bad and can't stop the music.
Yeah, you can kind of see hints of the Gutenberg charm and Can't Stop the Music, even though it's bad scripts. But yeah,
This this music is amazing. This music is amazing. It's all I can
guys,
remember.
guys, when I'm a big record producer, I'm gonna have a parties like this.
I can't understand what you're saying, but I guess that's kind of the point.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Yep. Brooke Shields did win Worst Actress at the Stinkers. I didn't write any other nominees, but fair. And then very odd award name. The score for this movie won the most intrusive musical score.
That's not fair because I thought it wasn't great per se, but it didn't feel anywhere close to intrusive. I don't.
I don't know if I was listening to louder or quieter than you, but I thought it was pretty annoying. But the only other movie that we both of us have seen on the nominees list was Cruising, and Cruising, the soundtrack was my favorite part of the movie, so I'm not gonna pick that. It is a weird soundtrack, but some good punk music in Cruising.
Yes, there is.
So then, both Atkins and Shields were nominated for worst on-screen couple, losing to Flash and Dale Arden from Flash. Oh,
Flash and Dale are pretty wooden. Atkins and Brooke Shields are so whiny, and there's zero chemistry between them. And I think there's some chemistry between Dale and Flash.
Uh, that's my thought, is that the screenplay butchered the whole idea of a romance in Flash Gordon, kind of, because of whatever, but they were like generically likable, especially Dale Arden. Couldn't say the same about Shieldsy and Atkins. All right. Give your short review and score, and then thoughts about the pantheon of the Razzies.
The cinematography was pretty good, I guess. Although at times it was meh. I did really like the animals. But only this movie was about the animals because everything else in the movie's garbage. It's just so weird how they didn't pick a lane. And I criticized change of seasons for this, but I think Blue Lagoon exceeded the not picking a lane by any measurable. So it's easily the worst of any of the Razzie movies we've seen so far. I can't believe it avoided a worst picture nomination. So horrible movie. Waste my time.
Yeah. I mostly agree with you. Like I said, this movie would be disqualified for me. I wouldn't allow it to be distributed in America anymore because of like I said it like three times now, the topless child and the pretending a 14-year-old's nudity is real in a movie. It just makes me so sad for Brooke Shields. And then the movie's flat, undirected. It's a lot of dumb teenage whining thrown together with a wacky ending thrown on top just because they needed a way to end the movie. Uh, so I don't know. I kind of appreciate in a way though that there wasn't overbearing exposition, even though it meant that it did make sense and it was dumb and rough to watch. And the love structure, I think, was there, even if it's just literally. I'm not saying it's good or anything. It's just there's things there in a row, and the cinematography was good. So it's not my least. Well, it is. There should be a separate category for this movie and The Island because those movies commit hate crimes against humanity, and the movie's just forgettable and terrible. So if you take away my sex crimes issue with this movie, I would put it above like Coast to Coast, Change of Seasons, because it was more of a movie to me. So that's my review. And my score two out. I think I said it 2 out of 10. But
Wish, wish I could give negative numbers.
it wasn't good. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Our last trivia break is our sports blue question. So hopefully do better on these. What English Premier team uses the fan mantra "Once a blue, always a blue"?
Chelsea?
Everton FC.
Too many, a lot of blue teams in Premier League.
That was hard. And this one might be weird, but okay. What colorful two-word numerical phrase, sometimes replaced with Omaha, do NFL quarterbacks yell as a tactical decoy for an audible or an actual audible or something comically in between?
They say 15 billion phrases. Oh,
There's a more common one. So
blue 92.
Blue 42 is what I have. Yes, they do multiple things. Omaha was a new version of this. So yeah.
Derek Carr used to say John Gruden or something. John Gruden, his wife or something.
Nice. Blessy.
They just say random things.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm learning as a trivia writer. Mix of ambition and quickness. Here, before we go, I guess the next movie we're watching is another Worst Actress nominee. Uh, it's one of those movies where it's not famous or anything. So, okay.
Right.
Anyway, first clue: a crime thriller produced by and starring Frank Sinatra, also starring Faye Dunaway and James Whitmore, directed by the guy who directed Where Eagles Dare.
Ring a ding ding, if you know what I mean.
It's a little Beatles on it.
That was
Okay,
a, don't confuse me with the Beatles again, kid.
I
I got mob
punched
friends.
I punched John Lennon in the face. Anyway, your final clue. Whatever. The title is four words. Three, if you don't count the word the, and is a phrase used to describe pride in the context of a famous list of seven in Catholic theology.
Pride, pride falls the man.
Definitely on the right track. Pride is sometimes referred to as the first deadly sin, which is the movie we're watching next week.
The first deadly sin.
Yes. Available for paid rent or purchase on Amazon or other similar movie retailers on the interwebs. All right. So remember, folks, until next week, if you see a twin, bill it or give bills to twins. That's what the podcast is. Book me on your shows, or let's be best friends and hang out. Maybe I don't know.